In Ecuador, the impeachment trial against President Guillermo Lasso under alleged embezzlement charges is underway at the Ecuadorian Parliament. In Argentina, the ruling Justicialist Party holds its Congress to define a strategy for the general election scheduled for October 22nd of this year. South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa confirmed 6 African leaders will travel to Russia and Ukraine aiming to find a resolution to the Ukrainian crisis. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. In Ecuador, the impeachment trial against President Guillermo Lasso under alleged embezzlement charges got underway on Tuesday morning at the Ecuadorian Parliament. This is the first time in over 40 years that a sitting president has had to face a political trial in Ecuador. After members of the opposition present evidence, the Constitution gives the president 3 hours to present his case and exculpatory evidence. Then, each of the parties involved will be given up to 1 hour to rebuke. Once the president exits the parliament building, the debate will start, and since all parliament members will be given the chance to speak, this trial may take a few days. The law stipulates that a plenary session will be called in a 5-day period to issue a verdict, which is expected to happen on Thursday, May 20th. For a censure motion to pass against the president, a simple majority vote of 92 representatives is required. In Brazil, former far-right President Jair Bolsonaro will testify before federal police under charges of forgery of his personal vaccination card. The indictment of the former president comes after a May 3rd house search and arrest warrant as part of the Venire operation, a crusade ordered by Superior Electoral Court President Alexandre de Moraes relating to the inquiry on the so-called digital squads. On that day, Bolsonaro said he had never said neither he nor his daughter had been vaccinated, and he said they chose not to do so after reading the Pfizer vaccine's package. According to report by Global TV Network, the forgery of the vaccination cards of Bolsonaro and his daughter occurred on December 21st, 2022, on his next to last day in office, ahead of his trip to Florida in the United States, thus violating biological safety travel protocols in both countries. August 28th will mark the 40th anniversary of the founding of Latin America's largest labor union federation, the CUT, and across Brazil, millions of workers are already planning the celebrations. In Recife, our correspondent Brian Mir has more.
This August 28th will mark the 40th anniversary of Latin America's largest labor union federation, the CUT. And across Brazil, the 2,168 unions which make up the federation have begun planning their celebrations.
It's a decisive moment to reflect and debate and organize the future of our union federation to face the great challenge that increases every day because of the changes in the workplace. But we are also recognizing the greatest recent history of the working class as we commemorate the last 40 years of the CUT. We have led the metal worker and founder of the CUT to the presidency, defeating the fascism and its legacy of death and destruction of rights.
The CUT was founded during the waning years of Brazil's far-right military dictatorship and is credited with not only accelerating its downfall, but helping guarantee basic rights for all Brazilians, such as a shorter work week and universal access to public education and health care. It was also a main force of resistance against Lula and political imprisonment of Lula da Silva.
Democracy has returned with the election of Lula, but the CUT still has a lot to fight for, today and for the next 40 years, to guarantee the future of our nation so that our young people are no longer used as a cheap labor supply.
For the 3rd time, the CUT has helped elect its founder, Lula da Silva, to the Brazilian presidency. But many challenges remain for the Brazilian working class. The biggest fight at the moment is to undo the 2017 neoliberal labor law reforms.
We are going through a moment of deep transformation in the workplace President Temer changed the labor laws in 2017 and problems deepened during the pandemic. We need to build a different society, and we cannot do this under the labor laws that were passed after the 2016 COP.
Brian Mir, teleSUR, Recife.
In Guatemala on Monday, demonstrators gathered to denounce violations against freedom of expression following the attempted closure of the newspaper El Periódico. Guatemalan activists denounced there were threats against press freedom in the Central American country after El Periódico announced on May 12 its last edition following the arrest of its owner and founder, José Rubén Zamora, who has been in jail for 10 months. Zamora, who faces up to 20 years in prison, accuses President Alejandro Giammattei of fabricating the case against him. Guatemalan Journalists Association said that the closure of the newspaper represents a setback for press freedom and fundamentally for democracy. El Periódico had published investigations into alleged government corruption, saying in a statement that it received a crushing blow with Zamora's arrest on July 29, 2022. Secretary General of the United Nations Antonio Guterres held a bilateral meeting with the Prime Minister of Jamaica, Andrew Holness, to discuss national and regional issues. Guterres and Holness addressed Haiti's current social and economic crisis while describing the situation in that nation as tragic. Guterres thanked the Jamaican Premier for becoming a standard-bearer for the cause of unblocking the difficult Haitian situation. The Secretary assured that the level of gun violence has surpassed all limits and keeps the country paralyzed. However, he recognizes that he has not been able to gather international alliances to alleviate the extreme situation. The top officials also discussed climate change.
We have discussed, in particular, the situation in Haiti. Haiti is in a tragic situation. You have dramatic humanitarian needs. You have a political system that is paralyzed, and you have levels of violence by gangs that are absolutely appalling. The number of people killed, the number of people unable to live their lives, the dramatic food insecurity problems are indeed something that needs a much stronger commitment by the international community. We have a political problem, the need to bring the different stakeholders together to find a political way for a government, a legitimate government, to be recognized by all at the moment in which that political process is successful. And we need to address the violence of the gangs.
In Argentina, the ruling party Justicialista holds on Tuesday's Congress to define a strategy for the general election scheduled for October 22nd this year. The governor of the province of Buenos Aires, Axel Kicillof, said that they will evaluate the possibility of appointing by consensus a candidate for the presidency of the republic or calling for primary, open, simultaneous and mandatory elections. The meeting will take place at the Ferro Micro Stadium in the country's capital city and follows the decision of President Alberto Fernandez not to run for a second term, and after the Supreme Court of Justice prevented the election of the governors of the provinces of San Juan and Tucumán. The purpose of the meeting is to unify criteria and address Argentina's main problems. Let's take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you will find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. All the stories coming up. Stay with us. Welcome back from the south. On Tuesday in New Zealand's capital, a fire ripped through a 4-story hostel. At least 6 people were killed, others fled for their lives, and some were plucked from the roof. 80 firefighters and 20 trucks battled the blaze at the Loafers Lodge hostel in central Wellington. The collapse of a roof section prevented rescuers from searching through all of the 92 rooms in the hostel. Police said the final toll will not be confirmed until they conduct a methodical examination once the structure is made safe, probably by Wednesday. So far, they have rescued over 50 people. 15 were treated at the scene and 6 others in serious conditions were taken to the nearby hospital.
Shortly after midnight tonight, we were made aware that there was a significant fire in the building that you can see behind me. Our firefighters responded very quickly. There's a fire station only about a kilometre away from this location, and we brought fire crews from all over the city. Our firefighters carried out a significant number of rescues, and we're still working through the unaccounted for people. But unfortunately, this is a multi-fatality incident.
So the fire alarm went off and kind of went off forever. So initially I thought it was a false alarm, but then I sensed something was wrong, so I sort of went out, had a look around the level, saw the sort of smoke, and then saw the fire engines outside. Clearly I could see that there was something wrong, so just went down stairs, got out, and saw the fire, and yeah, quite shocked.
On Tuesday in South Africa, President Cyril Ramaphosa confirmed 6 African leaders will travel to Russia and Ukraine aiming to find a resolution to the Ukraine crisis. South African President pointed out that Russian President Vladimir Putin and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky have agreed to receive the mission, and the African heads of states in both Moscow and Kiev. Ramaphosa also added he held separate telephone calls with Putin and Zelensky over the weekend, where he presented an initiative drawn up by Zambia, Senegal, the Republic of Congo, Uganda, Egypt, and South Africa.
I presented the initiative on behalf of these countries, Zambia, Senegal, Congo-Brazzaville, Uganda, Egypt, and South Africa as well. The 2 leaders that I had occasion to speak to, that is President Putin and President Zelensky, agreed that they would be willing to receive the mission of the African heads of states in both Moscow and Kyiv. I agreed with both of them that we would commence with the preparations for the engagements with these African heads of state. The Secretary General of the United Nations was also briefed, and so is the African Union office also briefed.
As Israel commemorates the 75th anniversary of its creation, Palestinians remember that same day as the Nakba, or catastrophe. In 1948, more than 760,000 were expelled from the territory, giving rise to generations of refugees scattered around the world. While this new Nakba anniversary comes in the midst of persistent Israeli aggression and crimes, the Palestinian people maintain the struggle for their right to land, independence, and sovereignty.
They stormed the mosque and killed everyone inside, about 1,000 people, and destroyed stores. I was young and I saw it with my own eyes. The army came and they were carrying cartridges. And people thought it was Abdullah's, Jordan's army, that had come to protect us, and people rejoiced. The men were actually Jewish soldiers. Practically overnight, the city was emptied of almost all its 30,000 Arab inhabitants.
teleSUR English continues to grow. You can now tune in from 33 different African countries through StarSat, Dial 461, and enjoy Latin American alternative broadcasts. One final short break and we'll be right back. Don't go away. Welcome back from the south. Honduras declared on Monday an indefinite green alert in 64 municipalities of the country due to the droughts that could be caused by the El Niño phenomenon. The Center for Atmospheric, Oceanographic and Seismic Studies informed that this year the Honduran territory will be affected by El Niño. As a consequence, the nation will be affected by severe droughts. The Secretariat of Risk and Contingencies informed that between June 10th and July 10th, the drought will increase, so they will be in constant monitoring to evaluate if the alert is to be extended to other municipalities. It's estimated that an average of more than 200,000 people will be affected in food and nutritional security by the drought, which represents some 51,000 families that will be assisted in the first phase. In Japan, a new demonstration rejected once again the government's plans to dump radioactive water from the Fukushima power plant into the Pacific Ocean. On Tuesday, dozens of anti-nuclear activists protested in Tokyo to demand that Japan back off its plan to release treated but still radioactive water from the nuclear power plant damaged by the 2011 earthquake and tsunami into the sea. The protest outside the headquarters of Tokyo Electric Power Company Holding comes at a time when the company has almost finished building the facilities needed to dump the huge amount of water, and there is speculation that the operation could take place in June. The plan is opposed by local communities and neighboring countries of South Korea and China.
The Pacific Ocean does not belong to Japan. It belongs to all living things in the ocean and everyone who depends on it for their livelihoods. We are here today to send the message that Japan does not have the right to dump radioactive water. I heard that Germany is no longer using nuclear power plants. I hope that the way to suspend nuclear power plants will be discussed at the G7 summit.
On Tuesday in western Myanmar, the impact of Cyclone Mosha left dozens of people dead. The United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Assistance defines the cyclone as one of the strongest ever to hit the Asian country, with the city of Sidwe, home to some 150,000 people, as the worst affected. The partial disruption of communications due to the impact of Mosha makes it difficult to know precisely the damage caused by the cyclone in an area that is particularly neglected and home to hundreds of thousands of members of the Muslim Rohingya minority. The damage seems to be concentrated in Rakhine, and according to local media, the climatological event left around 400 dead.
I found the bodies of my son's wife and daughter here. I found the dead bodies of my brother and my sons near the village. One was found on the road. Another one was found inside the village.
9 out of my 14 family members were killed, only 5 survived. They were killed because they couldn't resist when strong wind swept them away on their way.
In Namibia on Tuesday, the Supreme Court ruled to accept the validity of same-sex marriages contracted abroad between Namibian citizens and foreign spouses. This is a landmark ruling in a country where homosexuality is illegal. The decision overturns a ruling issued last year by the High Court refusing to accept same-sex marriages contracted outside Namibia. This landmark ruling relates to the case of 2 Namibian nationals who sought recourse from the court after the Ministry of Home Affairs and Immigration refused to grant permits to same-sex foreign spouses whom they had married abroad.
Look, I think the fact that the word spouse is now being recognized as what it was intended, that any foreign spouse to any Namibian, irrespective of your sexuality, is going to be recognized. And I think it's going to have such, like, they always say a rolling stone gathers no moss. And that's what we're hoping for. We won the first battle, and I think that's a very, very good indication of where we are heading.
We are only asking for the extension of inclusion towards our communities to be able to live happy, full lives as anybody else in Namibia. Today I'm proud to be Namibian, I'm proud to be standing here, I'm proud to say that Namibia, I'm proud. I'm standing as a proud transgender woman today with Namibia, one nation.
Well, I think it's the first step towards equal rights in Namibia because it is only the first step. It doesn't mean that marriage is legal yet. I think that will be the next step, but it is a beginning. Yes. That same-sex marriages get recognized in Namibia. And there's more to come. This is not the end, but it's a great beginning.
We have come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. You can also join us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For teleSUR English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.